Hello and welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm exposing a really common problem when installing resin jointing compound. It's the type used pretty much all the time on modern patios and paths. It looks quick and easy to install, but if it's not done properly it will start falling out in around 1 or 2 years, just like mine did. Now, if you're watching this video, you'll know this isn't just my problem, it's happening everywhere. But why is that the case? Well, it's because it's a lot quicker to just sweep it in and water it, and also it costs less because that needs more material. However, that goes completely against the manufacturer's instructions. What actually needs to happen is for the jointing compound to be compacted into the ground. That allows more material to get into there, which then in turn gives it more strength and hold, and it will last a lot longer than the 1 to 2 years. So in this video, I'll show you an example of some resin grout and the instructions. Then it's going to be the long process of getting rid of all the old crumbling stuff and then finally reapplying it the correct way. Okay, so here's just one example of the type of product that's available on the market. This is the Silca Fast Fix, and you can see it's all-weather, self-setting paving jointing compound. But more importantly, what we want to have a look at is the instructions on the back. Number 1, ensure the paving is installed as per all the correct applications. Step 2, wet the entire area thoroughly where you're going to be applying this and allow any standing water to drain off. Step 3, remove the product from the packaging. Once you cut the packets, it has to be used within 1 hour, but any unused material can be stored in a bucket, so a wet bucket, for up to a month. So it starts reacting as soon as it's opened, and you set it with the water. But we'll look at that more during the application phase. So once you've got it out the bag, you use it in small, manageable amounts. Avoid spreading over a large area because you kind of don't want to put it out and for it to be setting all over the slabs within that time. So this step here, this is the one most of them do, which is using a soft broom or hand brush for smaller areas. Work the Fast Fix all-weather into the joints, and that's usually where they just stop and then kind of water it down. But the important bit is step number 6. This is the key bit. It's the one that takes all the time and makes it last longer than 1 to 2 years. It says, using a suitable pointing trowel, make sure the freshly applied Silca Fast Fix all-weather is thoroughly compacted within the joints. The process should also smooth and flatten the surface to the desired level, and even says thorough compaction is essential. And then finally, once that's done, it will start to set in 6 to 12 hours above 15 degrees in dry conditions, but allow 5 days to set in temperatures above 4 degrees. Contact with rain and moisture can temporarily soften the product, but yeah, in essence, it's step number 6 that is always missed out. Instead, sweeping it in, giving it a bit of water and walking away. Okay, so the first step is going to be removing all of this old grout so that we can get fresh stuff in there. The way I'll be doing that is just using this long, robust kind of flathead screwdriver, and I'll just be going in and just kind of digging it out, as you can see here. I'm not trying to get every single solid bit, but you know, anything that's just going to come away, like these chunks you can see here, and what you can see, if you know, you can almost crumble it with your fingers. So one thing I would also recommend is have something to kneel on, or what I'll be doing is popping in the knee pads that fit inside of my trousers. So here you can see I'm just getting in with a screwdriver, running along the edges, getting as much out as I can. But look at this, look, you can just see it all just crumbling away. And so it's going to take a long time, but essentially you're going to have to do this for all your slabs to a good depth. Which brings me on to something else that I wanted to show you. So when using this, you have to have a minimum of 5mm wide hole and a minimum of 20, so that it gives it enough for the mixture to kind of set. Okay, so I thought I'd give you a real life update on how long this is going to take you. So that's the patio all done. You're in a bit of a wide angle view at the minute, so it might skew it a little bit, but it's a reasonable sized patio, nothing major. It's taken me around 3 hours, just manual labour. These knee pads are definitely helping. And whilst we're talking about protective equipment, I recommend you wear a pair of thick gloves, gardening gloves, because when you're working like this, you're going to get a lot of kind of friction in your hands, so you don't want any kind of blisters or pressure injuries. Also, I would mention that because some of it's quite dusty, it's okay today, there's hardly any wind, but you might want to wear some like safety glasses or something if it was windy, because I can imagine this really flying around and getting in your eyes. Another interesting thing is, you remember this was a flat-headed screwdriver at the start? Now it looks more like that. It works absolutely fine, but just to point out, whatever you're going to use is going to be sacrificial in this process. So what I'm going to do right now is get a dustpan and brush and sweep up all these bits, keeping it out of the channels. So that's the patio all swept up with a dustpan and brush. You can see there's really some deep channels in some places. Of course, I'll be giving it another brush before I apply things, but as that might not be for a few days, the last thing I want is all of that material flying around if the wind picks up. So that's all done, and actually you can see just how much material has been removed. Okay, so here we are, we're back the following week, and it's another glorious sunny day. I've got my cap on, I've got my sun cream on. What I'm going to be doing right now is just going around all the areas again, just making sure I haven't missed any bits. And then I'm also going to go around with this. Now, of course, you can hoover it all up if you've got a proper hoover, but what this one allows me to do is flip it onto the side and actually use it as a blower, and then we can crack on with actually repointing the patio. Okay, now the prep work's complete, we can finally get on with applying our all-weather self-setting paving jointing compound. Step one is the putting in of your paving slabs and paths. So now we're on to step number 2. So I'm going to get the hose out and start spraying down this whole area. The standing water shouldn't be here for too long, especially in the sunshine. So we've wet all the cracks, we've wet all the slabs, and the next step now is to remove the pouch from the box. So you get another copy of the instructions here, and yeah, you get 2 of these. The whole tub in this one is 14 kilograms. Some of them come in slightly different weights, so there's a 15 kilogram out there depending on the colour. I really want you to watch the difference between just brushing this in and then taking this and compact it down. Watch the difference. That's almost about a half more that you can get inside there. Just compacting it down and then refilling it with the stuff from the sides until I can't get any more in. So now you can see the difference in the amount of time it takes just to brush in versus doing that for all the slabs. Okay, so to give you an idea of how long it takes, that's been around 40 minutes. So this should be really close to going off. So I'll show you the technique I've been using. So what I've been doing is, my mixture's in here, see in there, all in the water. So that's allowing it to stay fresh for a month. I've been using my trowel, and then what I'm doing is, just a little bit at a time, I'm taking it out of the trowel, and then what I'm doing is essentially just scooping in the amount of material off the trowel that I need, compressing it into there. And you can go all the way along if you wanted to, but what I'm doing is just small sections like this at a time, building up the material. It's a lot slower than just brushing it in and then kind of just compacting it even after brushing, but I'm finding it's giving me like a really controlled, a really kind of professional finish. Okay, so here we are at the end of the day. You can see I've done all the path along here, and then follow me through. We've got all this section all done today, all the way over here, and that's taken me in total the first tub plus another 1.5, so 2.5 tubs to do all of that. So stay tuned, we're going to let it all harden. 2-3 days, maybe even next weekend, I'll do the final video and wrap up all my thoughts, my suggestions, and some of my top tips. Okay, and there we are, we've reached the end of our regrouting journey. So I said I was going to give you my thoughts and some top tips. So first of all, what I'll say is there's probably 3 different ways in which you can use one of these silicone fillers. First of all, if you've had the patio laid in a way where it's a fairly simple design, you've got nice even gaps everywhere, and maybe it's a bit of an overcast day, then there's potential that you can do it as per the instructions. And by that I mean water it down thoroughly. Some of the water will sit in those grooves. You'll be able to sprinkle it into the gaps and flatten it down quite nice and quickly, brushing as you go along, and you should be okay with that. However, if you've got a more complex design with more lines, you're going to struggle to do that unless you potentially have a second pair of hands. So you can have one person shaking the material in and working their way along, and then kind of maybe doing some of the brushing, and someone following along compacting as they go. And then finally, if you're on your own, so just like me doing it, a fairly complex design, it was really hot at the time of filming, so things were evaporating, then you may have to go down the route of decanting all of that material into the bucket, filling it with water, and that gives you more time, but then it slows your progress down, because then you're having to kind of scoop it in rather than kind of shake the material, and you're having to kind of work it into the cracks, which goes a lot slower. But it doesn't matter which method you do, ensure that you do that compacting so that your grout will remain for a good number of years. The only other things I have to mention is, because it's designed to work in those larger, that minimum width and that minimum depth, if you have anywhere such as in between bricks or smaller areas that you're going to fill in, they are potentially areas that you're going to have to revisit more frequently, just to touch up as you go along. But it would be a far less onerous job than doing the whole amount. Also, you may also find some areas where the mortar in between the bricks is higher, preventing the material from going in. You can either try and kind of cut those back with like an angle cutter or something, or again, just like the other areas, you might just need to touch up those periodically. Anyway, I hope that's helped either with redoing your patio, or maybe even having one done now and ensuring that they use the product correctly. If you've enjoyed this video, you'll probably like my other home and property repair videos. There's a playlist up there, or you might like this other video in the meantime. And until the next one, all the best, take care, and see you.